Hi, I'm Cass, and welcome to For the Vibes. I was hoping we could catch a vibe real quick. This is kind of a first for me, I'm not gonna lie. Putting yourself out there in this way on a platform like this is so far out of my comfort zone and probably the cringiest thing I've ever done in my life. And I have some stories where you would beg to differ, but fuck it. Fuck it. I mean, only good things have ever come out of those two words, so here we are. As awkward as this is for the both of us, I'm sure, but mainly for me, if you bear me a moment, I promise at the end of it, we'll most likely become friends. And if not, you can choose to never see me again. But please stick around. Let's be friends. I would like to be your friend. I'd like to vibe with you. So stay. When I think of being for the vibe, I think of a place where you can explore ideas, create feelings or energy that flows and that is intentional, which brings me to our word of the day. Before we dive into why intentionality is the word of the day, can you believe we are about to be in 2025? Like in a month and a half, we will have left 2024 and we will have entered the middle of this decade, the decade of the 20s. We will be in the middle of it. And this is coming at such an optive time, if that's the word, for lack of a better word. I feel like I know what word I'm trying to say, but I might have not. I might have not said it right. Time in my life, because I remember about a year ago, actually, around this time, I remember coming to the realization that I was in a transitional period. It was like everything in my life, everything in my world, in my atmosphere was pushing me, nudging me to do something new or try something different, to get out of my comfort zone. And I remember once I got to that realization, there was no going back. Like nothing was the same, like nothing at all, you know? I was still mobbing on the low, scheming on the low, you know, furthest thing from perfect, like everyone I know. But it's like I had stepped out of the matrix or I was stepping out of the matrix, and I was understanding that my life was kind of like a revolving door of like experiences. Like I was having the same experiences and I wasn't growing. And it was such a realization for me at the time of my life because everything was going wrong. I was overworked and underpaid. My relationship was on rocky ground because I had no work-life balance. I was drained from pouring into other people who weren't pouring into me. And I was just pretty much fed up with the person that I was. Like I was ready to be something new, someone new, and just not ever look back. And once I got to that point, once I got to that realization, everything started changing. I started noticing like the smallest things I would notice, and it would drive me crazy. I would be like, wow, these are things that I would have overlooked before that I needed to pay attention to. And naive me, actually, very naive of me, because I thought that once I came to that realization, once I realized that I was in the matrix, that everything that I needed to know, or everything that I needed to learn in order to get out of the matrix was just I was gonna wake up the next day and it was all just gonna come to me and it was gonna flow to me. And I had reached the point in which once you realize it, it happens, you're out of the matrix. And that is not how it works at all. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know who I was, but that is not how it works at all. There is so much work I had to do. So much work. I had to rediscover myself. I had to rediscover what I like, what I don't like, the type of vibe that I was putting out there, the type of energy that I was around and surrounding myself with, which, also they say you are the energy that you keep, which also meant that the energy that I felt like I was being drained from was probably the energy that I was giving out. And so I had to go on this whole journey of self-discovery and falling into being intentional. Because what I realized was that up until that point in my life, I was not intentional. I had kind of just let life just do what it wanted with me. And thankfully, it did good things for me where I was living comfortably and, I was able to take care of myself. I was able to survive. Let's be honest. That's all I was doing. I was just surviving. I wasn't growing. I wasn't doing anything spectacular. And I talk a lot with my hands because I'm a New Yorker and I feel like that's what we do as New Yorkers. We talk with our hands, so deal with it, okay? Just deal with it. Also in this rediscovery journey of mine, I realized that I used to be somebody who would always have to have their nails done. Like my nails always had to be done, and I'm still that girl, don't get me wrong. I'm still that girl. We still like to look good. We still like to be pretty and soft and feminine, and we still like to get our nails done, but now I can take breaks and not feel like I'm lack or less than without having them done. So I talk with my hands a lot, which is why I mentioned that, because maybe it's like an insecurity of mine and I'm thinking about it right now because my hands are kind of like going like that. But yes, so I realized that I wasn't being intentional, that the job that I wasn't at wasn't intentional. The direction in which my relationship was going wasn't intentional. The way that my friendships were going wasn't intentional. It was kind of just, I was kind of just going with the flow of life, and I was fed up with it. And so I went on a journey of learning how to be intentional, and there is so many things I had to undo, which took a long time. Okay, so reflecting back on a year ago, realizing this, and just thinking about the year that I've had in 2024, which even though there is still a month and a half to go of it, thinking about the year that I've had, there was so much that I had to do that I was not expecting. There were a lot of tears, okay? A lot of tears. Lots and lots and lots of tears. So much tears. It was a lot of tears. It was a lot of tears. And you know what the crazy thing is? I say it like there isn't still a lot of tears. There's still a lot of tears. I apologize if you guys heard me gulp. I was trying to be very cute with it. I was trying to be very demure. But I'm nervous, in case you couldn't tell that. I'm very nervous, and I don't know if I'll ever get to a point in which this becomes like water. And but I will be more intentional of it. So to tie back in, so I realized that I had fallen into the trap of just surviving in life and not being intentional, and so much came from it, and so many tears, all the tears. And nothing went the way I thought anything would have gone. I don't think I had any expectations, actually. I don't think I saw it going any differently than how it did, because I think the way that the last year for me in rediscovering this and trying to vibrate higher and do something great and spectacular, I don't think I had any expectations for what that would look like. I think it's more of a feeling for me. It was more of a vibe. So once I started paying attention to it, things that didn't align with the vibe that I wanted to kind of pursue and be intentional about, I just didn't give any attention to. So I cut back on seeing friends. I cut back on going out to social outings and events, and I started spending more time with myself, getting to know myself. I started reading, I started writing more, I started journaling. I started thinking about moving forward, the person that I am. Who is that person? What does she look like? What does she talk like? What is her vibe? What does she do? Which was a huge part for me too, was maybe feeling like I had all these ideas in my head and these creative outlets that I was not being intentional about. Like God had given me all these gifts that I was kind of just sleeping on, and trying to find ways to, maybe not so much ways, but just trying to get back to a space where, trying to get back to fuck it. Okay, trying to get to that space of fuck it. I was one of those people, still am actually, a little bit, not as much because we're here, I'm doing this, where I had a fear of being seen trying, which I still do, and analysis paralysis plays a huge role in that. But now, after a year of going through that journey and just focus on being intentional, I realized that the person that I am doesn't mind it, doesn't care. They're just like, fuck it. We are for the vibes. If the vibes lead us in this direction, it's because we wanted the vibes to lead us in this direction, not because we were just kind of one. Even of those things that be in front of the cellular places when they just kind of go in the wind all willy-nilly. Like, I was one of those things, just kind of like going through life like, wee. Actually, perfect example is like, if you ever seen one of those like videos where like a girl is out with her boyfriend, and it's just like me when I'm with my boyfriend, and she's like running to things and about to fall in the gutter. That was me. That was me in life. I was just kind of like, all right, I trust you. Take me where you want to take me, and not really having an input in it. So once I realized that I had to put an input in it, I feel like things started flowing a little better, a little differently, actually. It started flowing a little differently, and I started moving differently. And I'm kind of going on a ramble because I am nervous. But this was kind of just like an introduction video as we are wrapping, or as we are in the midst of wrapping 2024 and entering 2025. I would like for you to join me on focusing on one word: intentionality. So in this new chapter of your life, in this new chapter of the decade that we are entering, of the decade that we are in, what does it mean, or how does it look like to move through life with intention? And I feel like in order to really move with intention, you really have to learn what it means to be intentional. And the process of learning to be intentional is not easy, but if you want to vibrate higher, if you want to create better vibes, if you want to be somebody who is in charge of the vibes that they've, not so much, I say vibes a lot, but If you want to be in charge of the energy that you surround yourself with and take control of where where your life is heading and where you see yourself, if you want to be that person who if you want to be on a better path to being that person that you see in your head, I invite you to focus on being intentional. As we are wrapping up 2024 and entering 2025, think about what ways in your life you are not being intentional. Think about in what ways you've kind of just let happen, if that makes sense. Think about how you are appearing in the matrix and focus on that. And I don't know where this journey is going to take me. If it takes me to things that are unexpected, but in a good way, I welcome that. If it takes me to just doing this for myself, I welcome that also. I welcome any good that comes from me being intentional and from me actually taking control of how I move through this space that we're in called life. Don't want to be a cliche because but how I move through space and time and yeah. So I kind of just wanted to start this and see where it goes. And if you caught a vibe, if anything I said resonated with you, I hope you come back. I hope you stick around. I hope you subscribe and become part of my community, because I would love to get to know you. I would love to see what else we can come up with, what topics we can introduce, what vibes we can create. So thank you for watching, and stay vibey. Stay true to yourself. Be intentional. Really focus on being intentional, and remember, the best vibes come from within. You can't put out the best you if you're drained, if you're running on empty, if you're not sure who that is, if you're kind of just falling into life. So yeah, I haven't really sipped much of this. I thought I was going to need it to beer. I thought I was going to need it because I've been recording since 7 a.m. and I haven't really gotten anywhere. Every video I've shot has kind of been just a little cringe. So I poured myself a beer as opposed to my coffee, which is actually sitting right there. I also had a lot of coffee as well too. But up until this moment, I didn't realize how hard it was to actually be intentional about drinking something when you're talking. So let's see where this goes. I just took the back of my earring off. We'll put that. Also, have I been sitting like this the whole time? Girl, get it together. My earrings falling. I'm just all over the place. Oh my gosh. I'm all over the place. All over the place. That's just... Okay, bye.